the royal
We do nothing
public.
wrong. I mean, we're just perfectly reacting to it. Everyone else is wrong.
Obviously. Um, that's the point of this podcast, is that we are right and people should listen to us. There's your clip, business boys. There's your show promo clip.
Hello and welcome to HR Confessions. I'm Rebecca Taylor.
And I'm Kim Rohrer. We are bringing you unfiltered perspectives from the world of HR with terrible stories and good advice.
And today we're talking about when your work life and your life intersect.
Oh,
Kim,
no.
have you ever randomly run into a coworker in a non-work setting?
I have, in fact.
What was it like?
Terrifying, because I was not expecting to run into this person, and I was no longer a coworker of theirs. I had recently left the company, and I was walking down the street in my neighborhood, and there they were, and I did not like this person. I don't think they liked me. And I was like, why are you by my house? Why are you in my neighborhood? Why are you so close to me? And it was very awkward and very uncomfortable, and we just kind of pretended not to see each other, and I have not seen them since.
Similar vibes to the story that we're telling today.
Oh, good.
Different
Good. I love when that
result,
happens.
but it starts from
Okay.
a similar kind of like from a similar starting place.
Great. Love to hear it.
I know, like, I used to run into people all the time when I lived in the city, like when I lived in New York and everybody
Sure.
worked in offices, if you remember those days.
Sure, I sure do.
Because, like, you know, there are only so many happy hour places and so many gyms that you can go to. And usually, even if you leave companies, there's only so many places that people actually work. So they're kind of all in the same area.
Yeah, well, I
so
should say
eventually
one
you're
of the
gonna see people.
reasons it was so shocking to me is that this was at an era where I was working in San Francisco, but I live in Berkeley, which is on the other side of the bay, which means that I hardly ever ran into people from work because I took a freaking bridge across a body of water to go home and be away from my coworkers.
Yeah.
I like that separation. I like having a physical separation from my place of work. So it was especially jarring to see people. I was like, this is not the city. Why am I seeing you?
Yeah, no, I get that. The world is too small. Like, that
Yeah.
doesn't even matter. The world's way too small.
It's true.
When you do run into people, what's your demeanor like? So let's say you do run into someone at the grocery store. What is your demeanor like? Do you change at all? Or are you kind of...
You know, it's interesting because I'm now thinking of another couple of examples. One where I was in a grocery store in San Francisco doing some grocery shopping for work purposes back in my office manager days when I did a lot of grocery shopping for work purposes.
Throwback.
And I ran into a coworker who I was shopping. We were at the same company. I was shopping for this company, and they were like, "Hey, what are you doing at this Whole Foods?" I'm like, "I'm working, man. I'm picking up food for the office party." Like, I don't even remember what I was buying food for, some bullshit office party. And it's hard because I was in my own mode, right? Like, I had my headphones in, I'm like doing my shopping. I'm trying not to be open to conversation. And this person's like, "Hey, coworker." I don't know if people who aren't seeing the visuals didn't see the like bro face I just made, but it felt very bro. Hey, what's up? And I try to remind myself, like, I'm at work right now. So, like, hey, it's good to see you. What are you doing here during working hours? Shouldn't you be at your desk? Not that I care. But the weirdest time was, I was out with a bunch of friends after work at a happy hour type event back when we did happy hours. And I was not sober. I was at a bar with my friends doing our like
You're
Friday
able
night.
and allowed to do. Yeah.
Exactly. I was like, must have been like 25, 26 out at a bar with my friends after work, and a group of coworkers came in, and I was like, I need to not speak. I need to just like wave at them from across the room and then like turn my back and pretend like we are not in the same physical space.
Yep.
Because I think especially when you're in HR, there is a line that it's not like, okay, we're at a bar now, I can just be like drunk and happy and we're friends now because we're at a bar instead of in the office. Like, I still have an HR persona to uphold. So better that you don't see me.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get into that actually at the end in our recap because there's, I always love talking about how HR's experience at work is so much different from kind of any other type of employee space at work, just for that reason that like your HR, it's just different. So we're definitely going to get into that as part of the like recap at the end of this.
Love it. I'm ready.
Are you ready to hear how our friend reacts when she sees someone she's not expecting?
Probably not, but please continue.
And now, a quick word from our sponsor, SkillCycle. SkillCycle is a talent development system that connects performance management to one-to-one coaching and development. The SkillCycle platform aligns individual growth with business objectives through continuous feedback, AI-powered development paths, and leadership training. As a SkillCycle co-founder, I'd love to talk to you out there in our audience, progressive people leaders who really get it. Let's chat over coffee on us to give us some feedback on the episode and about the challenges you're facing today. You might just contribute to a topic on our next episode. Email us today at hrconfessions@skillcycle.com. That's hrconfessions@skillcycle.com.
So our story takes place in a Northeast city sometime in the last like 6 to 8 years. So not that long ago, but not yesterday. Okay. Pre-COVID. Important to know, pre-COVID.
Okay.
It's the springtime. People are just starting to hang out on rooftop bars again. The days are getting longer. Love is in the air. It's sort of the best time to be in this space. Mm-hmm. So our HR hero, Grace, is in a great place in her life. She's got the successful job. She's been dating this guy, Mason, for almost a year. And they're at that stage where they're really starting to see themselves ending up together. They've met the families. They're talking about moving in together. And they've begun the process of integrating the friend groups. Because you know how it is. It's like,
that's treacherous.
A step. That's even scarier than meeting the family, if I'm being completely honest.
Because if you break up your family, it's obvious who goes with who. If you break up a friend group that you've intermingled, the friends have to choose sides. Like, I don't like this already.
What if you hate their friends? What if you like them but hate their friends? That's a whole other thing.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I'm ready.
So
ready for Grace.
It's a Friday in the spring, and Grace is excited because she's going to a birthday party with Mason for one of their mutual friends tonight.
Lovely.
So this isn't one of the integrated friends. This is the friend who introduced them. This is Russell. He's the one who started it all. So he's known Mason since middle school, and he met Grace in college. So they've known Mason for a while, a little bit newer with Grace, but still, a good solid few years there. So he's one of those guys that grew up in this city, just like Mason. So he and Mason grew up together. They have friends everywhere because the city's sort of like one big small town, and no one from there ever breaks up with friends who are also from there. So by the time you're an adult, yeah, that's my friend group. Those are just my people. And by the time you're an adult, you've surrounded yourself by like dozens of random people you met in school, on sports teams, through church, at work. Yeah. And somehow it becomes like this one big mismatched friend group that somehow works. I always sort of think of it as like Monica's dining room chairs on Friends. Like, they're all different, but they all work. They all sit at the table.
Oh, callback. I love it.
Yeah. So on this particular day, Mason and Grace are getting ready together to go to work. They're like this power couple. They're talking about the day ahead. And their plan is to meet somewhere before they go to the birthday party because they want to have a drink themselves first to decompress after work before they go to this big bash, which so relatable. Yes. So they both have pretty stressful jobs. So the time to unwind before having fun is absolutely necessary. Mason works in sales, and Grace, of course, works in HR, which you never know what you're going to get.
Nope.
But today, Grace knows she has to assist with a termination towards the end of the day. So she's not looking forward to that, and she knows she's going to have to regroup before going into party mode. I hate terms at the end of the day on a Friday, by the way. They're never fun, but Friday end of day is just the worst.
At least Friday end of day, I feel like I have definitely done this before. Spoiler alert, HR people are just like you. I've texted a friend and been like, I'm going to have a really difficult end of day. Like, can we please meet at this bar as soon as possible? Have a drink ready for me. Like, I'm wiped out. So yeah.
Yep. Same.
Yes.
And Grace did her version of that by saying, Mason, before we go hang out with Russell, like, we got to go. I got to have my martini. I'm picturing it. It's the only thing that's getting me through. Mm-hmm. And she's kind of nervous because this one's also going to be a little bit rough because the person that she's terming is supposed to fly out to a conference on Sunday. So they're also going to have to cancel the hotel. Yeah. And, they have a replacement lined up. Who knows? It's sort of like, it's one of those, it's just not great, but it's sort of the best that you can do. Mm-hmm. So she's telling this to Mason. She goes, yeah, I'm a little bit rough. You know, I'm a little bit nervous about this, you know. And Mason goes, I thought you said he was kind of a jerk and not really doing his job. So why would he be going to a conference? And she goes, well, apparently he started phoning it in a few months ago. His boss talked to him to see what was going on and he asked if he was okay or if he needed anything. But I insisted everything was fine and his performance just kept dipping. He's had a couple of warnings, but at this point, the only thing we can do is let him go. Which it's normal to kind of give your partner more information than you'd give other people. Like confidentiality is not as much of a thing. She's also not saying names, you know, whatever. So he goes, well, good luck with that. I'll catch you later. So she and Mason go their separate ways to their respective offices. When Grace gets in, she does her usual routine of checking emails, answering random employee questions that they could have answered themselves. You know, the usual.
Familiar, yes.
When she starts to get her head in the game for the term, she reads through his file to make sure she has all of her facts straight. So I'm like this too. I'm like Grace. Like, I'm like, if I'm assisting in a term, I want to make sure I've got my facts straight just in case. You know, I just want to make sure that I don't get caught off guard and I don't want to look weak. I don't want to look like I'm unsure or stumbling through things. You know, she's also a bit worried that he's going to have a bad reaction because he was doing so well not that long ago. That's why he was picked to go to this conference. Now, all of a sudden, quote unquote, they're telling him he no longer works there and he's not going on this trip that he's been signed up for months. I say all of a sudden in quotes for those who aren't watching this on video because it's been documented. I asked Grace. She did all of the things.
My head is like, was he put on a PIP? Was he given a chance to improve? How did this seem so sudden? Like, but anyway, that's not the point of this conversation.
Yeah, they did do those things. Yeah, they did do those things. And so that's why, you know, that's why it's kind of like that's what she's getting in a row. So she's like, on this date, we were told blah, blah, blah. On that date, you know.
Got it.
So when the time comes, Grace heads to the conference room to wait for the manager so they can take a few minutes to settle in, make sure they're coordinated. She's a pro. Grace is very like, she's, you know, she's not new to this role, but she was promoted maybe like 2 years ago. So she's still establishing herself in this sort of like VP level position. So the manager sends the employee, his name is Sean, a message to come to the conference room. And as soon as Sean walks in, he knows exactly what's happening. Like, he sees the HR person, he sees his manager. It's the end of the day on a Friday. He's like, all right, you see him piecing it together.
Yep.
So the conversation itself is pretty straightforward. Sean's a bit deflated, but professional. So Grace walks him through all of the things like the last paycheck, Cobra, etc. And she walks him out the door. And luckily, this isn't one of those scenarios where she has to have him escorted out. It's kind of like, you know, it's pretty tame. IT shuts off his access. It's pretty straightforward and non-eventful, which is like
the least you can ask for.
Yeah, exactly. And even when they are uneventful, it's still just the adrenaline. I don't think anyone really realizes or talks about the adrenaline. Even if you've done 100 terms, it's like your body's just in fight or flight, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure.
Hence the needing to meet up to calm down before you go and see other people.
Yes.
So Grace and Sean's manager wrap up.
Just for the record, I'm not feeling good about this.
I mean, it's not, it's sort of, you know, this is only the beginning of the story.
God, all right.
So Grace and Sean's manager wrap up for the day, and Grace leaves to get Mason at the bar near the place where the birthday party is for that martini she's been holding out for. She's like, I need this cold, I need this ready, and I need it ready to go. So he asked her how things went. She said they were pretty uneventful, and she's pretty relieved about that, and she's ready to get into weekend mode. Again, they're in power couple. He's like, what can I do to support you? Like, you know, he's not a manager himself, but he wants to be. And she sort of, as you know, this is another thing that maybe HR people can relate to. You sort of end up kind of coaching your partner.
Yeah.
And so, you know, they've kind of done that. So they're you know, they're in a good place. So they're ready. They head to the party venue and they join the party. It's not quite in full swing, but it's definitely kicking. So not everybody's there, but they're not the first ones. And so just to picture what the room looks like. So Russell booked like a party room in the back of a bar. So it's kind of one of those places that has booths along one side and then some tables along the other, and then sort of this open area that could be a dance floor, but it's really just a place where everyone's standing around.
Maybe some high tops thrown in there. Like I've been to this place. Yeah.
Just spots for people to kind of dump their crap, basically.
Yes.
Which is what most people have done. By this point, they've kind of dumped their coats and stuff at the tables and they're sort of mingling. Because this is this friend group. They've kind of, some of them have known each other for a long time. It's this, hodgepodge of people. So there's not really any one-off outliers. So everyone's kind of hanging. So Grace tosses her bag and coat on the booth closest to the door and walks up to the bar to order a round for her, Mason, and Russell, the trio. Like, these are her boys. She's like, we're going to get a drink together. So she's making her way over to them with the drinks in her hand. She's like balancing the three. And she catches a glance at the door. And who do you think walks in?
Well, I think we all know who's going to walk in the door.
Do you want to guess?
I'm like, it's the guy whose name I can't remember.
It is, in fact, our good friend Sean.
Sean, there we go. I was like, it's not Russell. There's too many people at this point. I need a map.
Yeah, I know, sorry. It's a lot of names.
It's the guy who she just laid off like an hour before. Or fired.
Yep. Fired, yeah. So it is our good friend Sean, who we just fired like 3 hours ago.
Yeah.
So you might remember me telling you that Russell's one of those people who's collected friends his whole life. He's that extrovert, and he loves spending time with the 75 people in the world that he loves the most.
Of course. Good for him.
And this is his big day. It's his birthday. So naturally, he's paying attention to who's coming and going because he's he's like the mayor. He wants to say hi and hang with everyone. And he's not just going to hang around and schmooze. He's going to be on, and he's going to be loud. So Grace is standing there with drinks. She passes them to Russell and to Mason. And Russell he yells, Sean, you made it. It's like the whole place goes quiet.
And Sean's like, FML, I just got fired today, and she's the one who did it.
Well, I also forgot to tell you something about Grace.
Oh, no.
She's over 6 feet tall.
Oh, so she's easy to spot in this bar.
And so are Russell and Mason. So they're kind of hard to miss. They're these like just tall people on the sea of others.
Boy. Okay.
So Sean glances in their direction because he hears his voice and he waves at Russell, and then you see his face change. Like you see him like, oh crap. And he locks eyes with Grace. And Grace is just sort of there like, oh, okay.
Oh boy.
What do I do? Just everybody, I'm just going to stand here and be frozen. So Russell's like, come on over here, man. It's so good to see you. I didn't think you were coming. So sort of with a stiff, like sort of smile on his face, like what's Sean supposed to do? He's good at, like, he's there for Russell's birthday. He's kind of in shock, but he starts just making his way towards them. He's like, okay. And Mason goes, Sean, I thought you were going to be in Vegas. Because remember, he was supposed to go to this conference.
Right.
So Grace starts to discreetly step away from the group, and she tries to sneak towards the booth with her stuff. Like she makes some excuse about not wanting to hog the birthday boy. Like, oh, this is your friend. Like, whatever. But Russell isn't having it. He goes, Grace, Sean is my best friend in the whole world. We've known each other since we were little. You have to meet him. So Sean gets to the group, and Russell does the intros. He's like, Grace Russell, or Grace Sean, Sean Grace, whatever. So if this were you, if you were either one of them, if you were either Sean or Grace, what would you do in this situation? Do you pretend that you're just meeting, or do you tell Russell and Mason that you already know each other?
I follow his lead on this. If I'm Grace, I follow Sean's lead because if I'm thinking of it from like positional privilege and power dynamics, like he is the currently marginalized party. He is the currently disadvantaged party. I hopefully can communicate with him via eyes to just at least like look at him and be like, I'm going to follow your lead. Like I'm going to let him speak first. And if he doesn't speak first, then I say something like, oh yeah, we used to work together. Or like, we actually know each other. We used to work together. Hi.
Mm-hmm.
And then let him take it from there. Because he can either play it however he wants, frankly. Like he's the one that just lost his job. So if he wants to be like, yeah, funny story, she just fired me. That's why I'm not in Vegas. That's why I could come to your birthday party. Ha ha ha. And she can respond to that in kind. And this is part of, as an HR leader, you have to be prepared to kind of think on the fly. This is why I think improv is such a good skill for HR people. Yeah, I would 100% follow his lead. And if he chooses to say nothing, I would not like out him. But I also wouldn't lie and pretend that we'd never met.
Yeah. I would do the same exact thing. I also am a big believer in HR taking at least some improv, just getting used to the concept of yes and just like thinking on your feet. And yes, the power privilege and the dynamics part is like the root of this whole thing right now.
Right.
And Grace is a pro, and she figures she'll follow Sean's lead. That's exactly what she does. She's like, you know what? I'm just going to let him do his thing. If he says he knows me, I'll go with it. And if he does the nice to meet you thing, I'll go with it too. So she's kind of like, anything is on the table, because she's kind of like,
right.
She feels a little bit, not guilty, but just a little bit conflicted, because she's like, this is Russell's best friend. I just fired this guy. I'm still kind of like feeling it a little bit.
Yeah.
So Sean goes, oh yeah, we know each other. And Russell goes, no way. How do you know each other? And Sean responds, we work together. Present tense. I confirmed.
Okay.
And Grace
That's a
goes,
choice.
yeah, small world. Yeah. I mean, it's a choice, but it's like, we actually I get into it a little bit later, but like, it is sort of a, you know, if it had just happened, there are stages of grief. There's also,
Sure.
It's Russell's birthday. Do you want to make it about, yeah, we used to, but we don't anymore.
Right.
Like,
Right.
You know.
Totally.
So Grace is just like, yeah, small world. Just sort of, you know, let's not talk about it too much. Mason, sweet, darling, wonderful boyfriend Mason, chimes in with, I thought you had some trip or something coming up, so you couldn't come. It's so good to see you. Mm-hmm. And Grace is now giving Mason dinner plate eyes. Like, she's just staring at him. She's like, she explicitly told him. Yes. And she's like, she explicitly told him this morning that that she was feeling a bit on edge about the term today, because the employee they were letting go was supposed to leave for a work trip like tomorrow. And he's just not getting it. It's just, they're not really quite
They're not on the same
here.
They're not on the same wavelength.
No, which tests their couple dynamic, their power couple dynamic.
For sure. They are not in power couple mode right now.
No, Mason is a bumbling, he really fumbled that one. He's supposed to, like, with, you know, new relationships, I guess. So Sean asks Mason, how do you two know each other? Meaning Mason and Grace. And Mason goes, she's my girlfriend. It's so funny that we haven't been able to hang out yet, all of us together, but at least we're here now. And he's like such a sales guy. He's so much positivity, high energy, but he's still honing those EQ skills. Like, he's not picking up on the kind of tension there.
What's going on? Yeah.
Yeah. Which, like, I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, because also it's loud. They've been drinking. Maybe he also doesn't really care, but still there's a conversation happening between Grace and Sean mentally, and Grace and Mason mentally, and no one really knows what they're going to be saying to each other. So they get bailed out. All of a sudden, they hear a voice behind them that yells, oh my God, Sean, you're here. And Sean just takes the opportunity to just like turn around and just dip and just mingle.
Thank God.
So Grace is now like, she's got to deal with Mason, because now she's ready to just like strangle him. She goes, Grace pulls Mason to their booth and is like, Mason, that's the guy I had to let go today. And Mason is finally connecting the dots after being directly told what happened. He goes, wait, Sean's the guy you're telling me about? Why did you fire him? And she's like, obviously, I can't tell you anything else about that, but this is so awkward. And so Mason's still kind of like, now he's sort of being welcomed into the world of dating an HR person, because, you know, he's like, well, I want to know the tea. And it's kind of like, she could tell him the tea if he didn't know the person. But now that the person's identity is revealed and he knows them, it's like, this is now privileged and confidential. My profession and my relationship with you, I have to rank, which is my priority. I'm going to rank my profession. I'm not going to tell you anything.
Right.
So Mason goes, he said you still work together, though, like just slowly kind of piecing it together. And she goes, well, yeah, he probably doesn't want people to know he just got fired. So please keep that to yourself and don't say anything. Because now Grace is like, I have to put a lid on this, because my Mason, who I thought was a smart guy who could keep up.
He's revealing.
Like, yes.
He's a little behind.
Yes. She's like, please just keep this to yourself. And so he's like, no, of course not. Like, this is kind of awkward now. And she's like, kind of?
Duh.
So remember how, I don't know if you remember, because it was all the way at the beginning of the story when...
you know my memory is not great.
And I've also been sitting with this a lot longer than you have, because I wrote it down. So.
All right.
So when Grace told Mason that she had to let this person go, remember she told him that he was kind of a jerk?
Yes.
And so Mason now remembers this. So now Mason remembers this, and he goes, wait, didn't you say he was kind of a jerk? And she's like, yeah, I mean, at work, he's kind of an arrogant jerk, but I said that before I knew he was your friend. The meeting of friends is so stressful.
It is so stressful.
So
I am so stressed out by this. I can like barely think straight. This is really, really really quite stressful.
Yeah, no, it's the world is too small. It's just happening. And now you have the work layer, which has more information, and now her life layer is going to give her more information that could influence her work layer. So she goes, remember, she's like, he was kind of an arrogant jerk. And Mason goes, well, he and his girlfriend broke up a little while ago and he's taken it pretty hard. They were together since high school. Like, she's moving out of town and he doesn't want to go with her or something like that. So his performance had dipped. He was kind of an arrogant jerk. Maybe it's because his like high school girlfriend and he broke up.
Could be, not my problem.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's
so
mean,
that,
but
so
like,
tell me about
it's
this.
not
Yeah.
like everybody has shit going on in their life all the time. Having personal stuff in your life is going on like this is going to impact your performance at work. But you can't just like give people you can't just let people make excuses for their poor performance. And it doesn't sound like he brought it up and was like, hey, I'm having a really tough time right now personally. Can you cut me some slack? Or I'm going to miss this deadline because I'm helping my longtime girlfriend leave me and the state. You know, like, this is where I feel like if your personal life challenges are going to impact you at work, you have to tell someone, like your manager. Otherwise, people are going to expect that your performance is going to be fine. And what does he expect? She's going to be like, oh, well, that changes things. His girlfriend broke up with him. He's having a hard time. Let me go back and talk to his manager about not firing him. Like, it's just, everybody has shit going on all the time.
He's defending his friend. Like, he's, that's his boy. Yeah.
Of course. And this is why you should not talk about people with your partner, I guess. I don't know. We've all done it though.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
I
it's
don't know.
kind of like, no, yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a right or wrong. I think this is like, so this brought up for me when I was thinking about this is it's not even so much a nuance that is directly from this story, but it's one of those nuances that we talk about a lot. So he didn't bring up to his manager that he was having issues, and he didn't ask for accommodations, which I don't even, which I don't even know if in this scenario, it's not like it's something that necessarily has to be accommodated, right? Because it's almost like you could tell your manager, yeah, I'm not doing what I need to do because I have all this stuff going on. But does that change the PIP? Does that change the process? Right. I mean, does it? So
no,
because like I get questions like this all the time, and
it might
I'm
give
always like
your manager some more empathy for you, and maybe your manager can offer you other types of support or something. But like, you don't get special privileges because you're going through a breakup. Like, that's different from if he was like, I have cancer, that's why I'm not performing well.
Yeah,
right? It's like,
yeah.
But breakups happen.
Yeah. I think this is one of those things where it's like,
sorry, I'm being very callous, but like,
no, that's why I like to talk about it, because I get a lot of questions about being an empathetic manager, but also needing you to do your job. And what is the line of, I care about you as a person, but I need you to do your job. Right. And I've been kind of thinking about it kind of the way that you mentioned it, where it's almost like there's a spectrum of accommodation, but there's not policy around it. It's not coded. It's so nuanced that, it's kind of like, yes, if you're sick, if you have, specific things that are protected that's happening to you, obviously there's different levels of accommodation. But what if you're just going through a tough time and a hard time? How many chances does your boss have to give you? Does your boss give you more chances if they like you versus if they don't like you? How does this impact?
They sure do.
At work?
And that's why there have to be policies and people not getting special treatment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
and so that's like yeah, I mean, that was the thing that kind of like it thought for me, because I never have a great answer to people that doesn't sound harsh or it doesn't sound callous.
Yeah.
And because I think that it's like, there is a point where a business is a business, and it's like, I might not like that I have to take these steps. I might not, I maybe I wish that it didn't have to happen this way. I wish that you got your stuff together, but here we are.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was like the part that I wanted to kind of like dive into there, but we're getting to the end of Mason and Grace's story over here. So basically they decide after some back and forth that Grace and Mason are going to avoid Sean as much as they can. And it seems like he's doing the same, which is kind of just like, I don't want to ruin the vibe. I just got fired and I want to blow off some steam. Please leave me alone. Which I would do the same. Totally fair.
Totally.
So the night starts to wind down and Grace and Mason are ready to head home. So they walk towards the booth to get their things. And of course, guess who's sitting in their booth?
Duh. Where else is he going to be?
It's Sean with like 5 other people. And he's sort of on the edge. So it's one of those like, U-boots.
Yeah.
So he's on the edge. So he stands up to give them room to grab their things and say goodbye because they're kind of just thrown into the back. So Mason goes, "It's so good to see you, man. We'll have to get together again soon." And Sean replies, yeah, good to see you too. So when Grace was telling me this story, she described this moment as an out-of-body experience. So you know how in this world you have huggers and not huggers? Mm-hmm. Grace is a hugger.
Oh, no. And she didn't try to hug him.
Before she realizes what's happening, she's opening her arms wide and saying some version of goodbye. The hug plane comes in for like an awkward landing, but Sean's a good sport and he rolls with it.
Oh, don't hug Sean, Grace. Come on.
Just because she's hugging everybody else as she's leaving, just out of body experience, just hugging. She's like, oh God, here we are.
Why
and then
am I
she
doing
remembers
this?
returning to her body just as she says the words, "I wish you well." A combination of words she's never used before in her life.
Very, who says "I wish you well"? Like, I feel like it is either used by people sort of passive aggressively, like Southern, you'd say that like Southern Charm or something.
Yes.
Remember that show?
Or it's more of like a final goodbye type of goodbye. It's not a, we'll see you again soon. It's like, I wish you well.
I mean, honestly, it's the type of phrase, I wouldn't use those exact words, but upon terminating employees, like, I wish you all the best, like, good luck to you. Like, those are all very common things for an HR person to say to someone that they probably will never see again.
Exactly.
But it sounds like they might be in each other's lives.
They're going to be in each other's lives. I just love the combination of the personal hug with the HR "I wish you well" at the same time. Just truly
Did
both
she give him
sides
like a
of the
little
brain.
pat on the back?
I actually think she might have. Wait, now that you said that, I think that she might have. I feel like I'd like, Grace, if you're listening and you want to confirm if you did,
tell us.
Please do. Because I kind of remember her acting this out, but she might have also been reenacting a story that I told her where I had a similar thing. So Sean just gives a puzzled.
It feels
goes,
like
thanks.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, good
He goes,
sport,
thanks,
man.
you too. And Grace just sort of waves at everyone else and walks out with Mason. And Mason goes, "I wish you well." And she goes, "I don't know, I panicked." So
I too would have panicked if I had
just
said
like
that.
Autopilot, complete autopilot, no pun intended.
Oh my God. Oh. Wow.
So Grace and Mason, we're now
What
at
a
the
time
end.
to be
So just-
alive.
Yeah, right. It's like the hug plane. The it's almost like it's like in Schitt's Creek when they're just like, best of luck. Or
Yes. Oh.
So Grace
Boy,
and
oh
Mason
boy.
make their way home in that after party phase of coming down from having a really good time, but also being really relieved it's over. Just like, all right, that was fun, but I'm glad we're home. About a year later, they get engaged. And a year after that, they get married.
Nice.
Russell's the best man. And Sean's a guest at the wedding.
Of course he is. I mean, I presume they've seen each other in this year since.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, now
And,
Grace and Sean are basically like, they're decently acquainted. They see each other every once in a while. And they love telling new people the story about the time Grace fired Sean and then immediately afterwards they met Russell.
I was going to say, it feels like the kind of thing that if you can get past it, it makes for a great friendship origin story.
Yep.
Because it's not her fault that he got fired. She wasn't his boss who fired him. She was the messenger, and presumably she made his experience getting fired not too terrible. And, that's the best you can hope for in this type of environment. And so now it's a good story.
Yeah. Could you imagine if she were a different HR person and it was like the firing from hell, or if he were he worked for a worse manager? I mean, this could have gone so bad in so many ways.
It really could have been very, very awful. But now they have a funny story to tell.
Yeah. And all's well that ends well, right?
That's right. That's right. Wow.
So that's the end of our story. And we kind of started to like go into this, but what I wanted to kind of start to unpack more is like, how come these kinds of interactions can be so awkward for HR, and how is it different for other disciplines? And are there disciplines who might experience similar feelings that we're not acknowledging?
I mean, I do think like a manager of any sort is probably going to find themselves in this type of environment. Not necessarily just HR, not necessarily in the corporate sphere, like anyone who's in a managerial position and has to deliver bad news to someone and then find them in their lives again. That's always going to be trouble. For some reason, my mind is going to camp counselors. I don't know why, but I feel like people in a camp counselor environment, I feel like that could be another touchy scenario for some reason. I don't really know why I think that, but I do.
Because they're in charge. It's like an authority thing.
Yeah, I think it's that combination of authority and power, and it's tricky for HR, especially because you have what's the combination, like authority but not power, or like
the nag effect. Yeah. The no authority gauntlet. Yeah.
Yeah. Where people might perceive you as having had control or power that you don't actually have, but you do have the power to impact someone's life in a positive or negative way. And it's a testament to her HR abilities that she was able to terminate his employment and still like remain friends with him. And that they can joke about it, laugh about it later. But yeah, it's not the same unless you're in like a managerial supervisory kind of role. It's not the same as like your friend from sales who you used to work with, or your friend from engineering who you used to work with. Because HR is not your friend, as they all say. Like, I feel like it's HR and it's people with decision-making power. Those are the two types of roles where this gets extra complicated, especially because as HR, you're expected to maintain this very neutral, professional presence in the workplace. So it's hard to have personal friendships with people at work, and it's hard to drop that sort of, I don't even want to say pretense because that makes it sound more like fakey fake.
Like guard, maybe?
Guard, yeah. It's harder to drop that guard when you are out amongst civilians.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I feel it as a founder too, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like if we do, when we do our company offsites, I'm very aware of who I'm surrounded by. Yeah. And I think perception is something that I've always been hyper aware of. Even before I was really very far into HR, I was always sort of, I'm always very conscious of how I'm perceived. And sometimes I'm just like, screw it, I don't care. But that does not happen very often anymore.
If you're a founder, people are going to look at you like a founder, even if you're not their boss. You're their boss's 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 boss, or their boss's boss, right? Like you are in a position of power, and so you have to act accordingly.
Yeah. And especially when there are so many other founders out there that don't. So I feel like there's a lot of pressure to be one of the good founders. And especially as a female founder, there's a lot of other,
double
there's
standards.
Sort of this, you want to be, not necessarily, I don't think of myself as a role model. Like I don't have that much of an ego, but it's like you still want to set a good example for what, it could be, and that they're not all jerks.
Yeah. And that's where I think too, it's like not even just that they're not all jerks, but like they're not all the same, and they're not all super like guarded and professional. Like that you, Rebecca Taylor, are a human. You're a person. You're a whole person. But I think I saw somebody, I think it was Christy at Culture Amp, who posted something on LinkedIn this week that was like, let 2025 be the year that you don't bring your whole self to work. And I was like, I love that, because we're so much about, and the past 10 years or so have been so much about like, bring your whole self to work. Everyone is but you don't have to. And depending on your role, you shouldn't, like, especially again, like HR is a role where you're expected to be neutral, and you can't be seen as playing favorites. You can't be seen as like breaking rules for certain people, but you also don't want to be seen as this like business only strict ass rule follower. So it's like, you have to create for yourself, like, how do I want to show up at work? How do I want employees to perceive me? And what boundaries am I going to draw around myself, so that how I show up for work might not be different, or might not be the same as how I show up outside of work, but it's still authentic to who I am.
Yeah. No, I like that. It's kind of thinking about it as, am I formal or informal? Because I'm big on perception, but I'm a pretty informal person. And so people tend to feel closer to me, or they bond with me fast, and I bond with people quickly. I've always been just sort of that, I'm easy to talk to, because I can talk to basically anybody. And I know that about myself. And so I try to also then not take advantage of that. So if someone starts to tell me more than I think that I should know at the offsite, I'm just like, hey, I'm not your friend, so maybe you don't want me to know this information.
Right. It's tricky, because you are a friendly person, right? And so that it can be really tricky when people see that as an opening, and you have to be the one to set the boundary and say like, I appreciate, like, I love talking to you. I appreciate that we can be friendly at work, but like, I have to maintain a boundary as a founder, as HR, as whatever. Like, I don't think this is something we should talk about. And that's really hard.
Yeah. I tell people, I was like, there's some information that I don't need to know, or it's like, there's just some I just don't want to have, because once you know it, you can't unknow it. And it's just like, I just, I don't need to know.
Yep. Fair.
Well, thank you for this. As always, that's all for this episode anyway, of HR Confessions. And if you want to submit your own confession, there's a link in the show notes, so you can submit your confession to that form. Would love to hear any thoughts or other input from our listeners. So please follow us on social media, or email us at hrconfessions.com, or hrconfessions@skillcycle.com. Excuse me, I know my email.
I'm just going along with it. I'm like, yeah, sounds great.
Yeah, I'm like, hrconfessions@skillcycle.com. That's us. Send us your stories. And truly, I have people send me, voice notes in my DMs on LinkedIn. I have text messages. I have people who I've seen in person who tell me their stories. It doesn't have to be anything, I don't even need too many details, just enough that you're willing to share. So feel free to send us anything, and we hope we'll be on your show, or you'll be on our show. I'm having a day. I can't talk
This
today.
is our first recording of the new year.
I know, it's the new year. I'm like, okay.
We're still finding our sea legs. Happy 2025, everybody.
Yeah, happy 2025, everybody. All right, thanks, y'all. Bye.
Bye.